Hello, my truth-seeking friends. I have a question for you. What if, what if the most powerful altar you could ever pray on is the one that you have been told was a place of sin? From grade school until I graduated high school, 13 years, I was forced to memorize verses that taught me to fear my own creative sexual fire. It was drilled into me that my sexuality was a weakness to be managed. Paul didn't just suggest restraint. He said it was a part of your earthly nature that needed to be put to death. His method? He said it was a burdening of lust, that we should marry as a second best option to extinguish it. Well, I did when I was 20 years old, but it didn't extinguish it. All it did was put me in a place where I was dependent upon someone feeding me connection and favor and love when they wanted to, instead of when I needed it. For me, sex was used as a weapon against me. The church kept me in bondage and compliant to them because I thought that that was what was godly. So I would encourage you to back up and let's look at the strategy for what it is. If they can make you believe that the fire within you is a sin or a weakness, they can force you into a system of dependency upon them. They turn the flame of the Lord into a ration card managed by the religion that you are a part of. In Song of Solomon, chapter 8, verse 6, the Father calls your sexual desire the flame of the Lord. It is the engine of life for you. But the religious machine uses Paul to tell you that this engine is a corrupt nature that must be executed. Why? Well, sex isn't weaponized because it's bad. The disobedient sons of God weaponized sex because they were terrified of what happens when a man and woman stand in sovereign unity before the Most High God. They were terrified because a sovereign union doesn't need a middleman. It doesn't need a teacher. It doesn't need a preacher. It doesn't need a priest, nor does it need a religion brought to you by a lesser God. When you follow the original pattern of Genesis chapter 2, verse 24, and the two become one flesh, you aren't just meeting a physical need. You are closing a circuit between the two of you and your Creator. You are reclaiming the ether, the power that Paul tried to muzzle in 1 Timothy chapter 2 when he said this: a woman must quietly receive instruction with entire submissiveness. But I do not allow a woman to teach or exercise authority over a man, but to remain quiet. For it was Adam who was first created, and then Eve. And it was not Adam who was deceived, but the woman being deceived fell into transgression. But women will be preserved through the bearing of children if they continue in faith and love and sanctity with self-restraint. What a pile of crap. Folks, women are half of the fire that God intends to use to ignite your lives into co-creation for Him. Reading this, is it any wonder women manipulate and try to control their man? How else will they feel the significance that they are supposed to feel? Here's the Creator God's way. When the masculine intent and the feminine power fuse in a giving spirit, the dependency ends. The selfishness stops. You stop asking for rations from your partner or begging to be the center of their attention. And you start commanding the kingdom of heaven to come down into your lives. The church branding was genius, wasn't it? They took the original pattern and put a tax on it. The Most High says, your sexual desire is the flame of the Lord. Again, Song of Solomon 8:6. And it's a divine attribute. But Paul rebrands that divine flame as a liability. He says, only marry if you cannot handle total devotion to God. Then, it's just better to marry than to burn with lust. That's in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 9. When you accept Paul's version, the burn narrative, I'm going to call it, you are agreeing to extinguish the very engine that the Father gave you to drive your life with. You are pouring water on your own altar to appease a middleman God who did not create you and does not have your best in mind. Culture has taught us that sex is all about fun and selfishness, right? Rarely have you heard that to be fully fulfilled in it, you must meet the other's needs. The best way is according to the Creator's plan. The Father established the feminine as the 𝐸𝐵, the power. That's the same word used for the power of God in the Psalms. And Genesis chapter 2, verse 18 says she is the strength that completes the circuit so you can subdue reality. Subdue your reality. Remember, God only told you to do 4 things at creation. One of those things was to subdue his creation for good. Dominate his creation for him your way. Do that, you need sex. So if they can get you to be selfish, if they can get her to be selfish with her body and manipulate her man with it, if they can get you, the man, to be needy and hyper-focused on getting some, or selfish and demanding in his interactions with women, any of these scenarios can keep you from experiencing the fire of creation that God intended. I tell you that if you will set aside your own agendas in this area and meet your partner in fullness, often and with consistency, the way your Creator intended, you will radically change your lives for the better. Paul installed a wet rag on the fire that God gave you, didn't he? When he tells you that the women must be entirely submissive because of the transgression, not even her transgression, but because of the transgression in 1 Timothy chapter 2, he grounds the power in guilt. So your circuit, male to female, back to male, stays broken. Who can fully enjoy their body or their partner's body when they are weighed down in guilt? It's no wonder we're where we are. You cannot have a high-level manifestation if one pole of your spiritual battery is being told that it's being deceived. Well, Paul claims in 1 Corinthians chapter 7 that being married divides your interests and that intimacy is a distraction from God. My friends, I'll tell you straight up, he is lying. Because the Father's first command in Genesis chapter 1, verse 28 was for the union to be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it. The union isn't a distraction from the work. The union is the work that God intended for you to do. It is the vehicle of domination for you over your creation. So when you and your partner become one flesh, according to Genesis chapter 2, verse 24, you are mirroring the act of creation itself. You are moving into the threefold cord that Ecclesiastes 4, verse 12 talks about that is not quickly torn apart. So, I want to encourage you. In closing, I want to give you a solid path forward. Let's call it the sovereign path to union. Are you ready? Now, for those of you who read the article or have this as training, there's going to be 15 things that may be helpful to establish intentionality in your sex life. But I want you to know it up front. Keep it simple. Use these as a guide that they're intended to be. If you try to do all of these all the time, you will kill spontaneity, which has its own value. But do these as necessary to keep the power in your actions. Are you ready? I won't go through all 15 of them. I'm going to give you 3 high points just for the video, right? So first, you must formally terminate the debt contract before you can create. What do I mean by that? Stand together. Here's an action. Stand together, naked before a mirror. The pre-fall state that you were before guilt happened in Genesis chapter 2, verse 25. And say something like this. We stand here in the original pattern, naked and unashamed. We formally terminate the Pauline contract, the Paul's contract of debt that the brand of shame created. We evict the disobedient sons of the Most High God from this temple, our bodies, and this space is now a sanctified laboratory of the Most High God. The fire we stoke here is now holy, sovereign, and ours completely. It is very good. All right, so that's first. Then, step two, you are two poles of a single battery. You must lock your frequency. So the action for that is sit facing each other. Maintain sustained eye contact and synchronize your breathing into a single circular rhythm. As deep calls into deep, my breath is your breath. My vision is your power. We are no longer two, we are the threefold chord. The circuit is closed. The frequency is locked. The Most High is the facilitator of this union. We are in agreement. Say that. Guys, you will be amazed at how this transforms your life. But then thirdly, stop leaking your energy. Connect your vision to the power. Ready? At the moment of fusion, at the moment of climax, actually at the moment of physical release. And this isn't for every sexual event. This is obviously for time set aside. But you might find yourself doing it more often than not. But here it is. At the exact moment of physical release, the masculine, the intent, speaks the seed of intent. Men, this is where you plan ahead and be the leader of your team. Know your objective. So then, the climax, speak your objective. Then, when you both climax, say, it is established. By the law of polarity and the authority of the Most High God, I command the manifestation. It is done. And the feminine says, it is done. And the power is released. All right, guys, that is a short version of what God can do when you use your body the way He intended for you to use it. Now, here's what I would encourage you. Final close. Stop treating your bedroom like it's a chore or a duty, and start treating it like a command center, full of power and purpose. The Most High is not watching to see if you stumble. Remember, He made you. He is waiting to see if you will finally pick up the tools that He gave you to build the lives that He intended for you to have. My friends, your Creator wants you to reclaim the fire, and I do too. All right, have fun, and I will see you in the next one. I love you guys. Bye-bye.